Welcome to BookPeek, where perfection hides the darkest secrets.
All right, let's dive into B.A. Paris's absolutely chilling thriller, Behind Closed Doors. Now, this is a story about a marriage that, on the surface, is just perfect, flawless. But what's really lurking inside? A secret that is just dark and terrifying.
You know, we all know a couple like that, right? The perfect couple. But this book asks a really unsettling question. What happens when that perfect marriage is actually the perfect lie? It's designed to get under your skin right from the start, making you second-guess everything.
So, at the heart of all this, we have the angels, Jack and Grace. And from the outside looking in, they have everything. They are the absolute definition of a picture-perfect couple. Okay, so let's get to know the people in this story. First up, you've got Jack. He's this brilliant, handsome lawyer, a total gentleman. Then there's his wife, Grace, who is just as elegant and devoted as he is. But the real emotional anchor here is Millie, Grace's beloved sister. And then there's Esther. She's the sharp new neighbor who starts watching them. And you get the feeling she might be the only one who sees that something is off.
And this right here, this is what drives the whole story. Publicly, Jack and Grace are this flawless team. They're successful, they're devoted, they're crazy about each other. But privately, well, that's where this huge, scary question mark hangs in the air. What is really going on behind those closed doors?
And this is where things start to get really creepy. The author starts peeling back that perfect image, layer by layer, dropping these tiny, unsettling clues that tell you something is just terribly, terribly wrong here.
So these little red flags start popping up. At first, they're subtle. You notice Grace is never, ever alone. She doesn't have her own phone, no access to money. And when she talks, it feels rehearsed, almost like she's reading from a script. Friends try to call, but she never answers. It all starts to add up, and these little details begin to scream that her perfect life is really just a gilded cage.
This quote absolutely nails the feeling you get when you're reading this. It's not some slow burn. It's this immediate, intense sense of dread that just grabs you. The author builds this relentless suspense that makes you feel just as trapped and anxious as Grace is.
All right, deep breath, because now we're pulling the curtain back all the way. This is where the story goes from just being unsettling to being flat out terrifying, as we finally see the horrifying reality of Grace's life.
You know that gorgeous house Jack gave her? The one that was supposed to be their perfect home? Well, it's not a home, it's a prison. A high-tech fortress designed to keep her locked in. The windows have steel shutters, the security system is top of the line, and guess who has all the codes? Jack. There is literally no way out.
Drax's control isn't just about the house. It's absolute. It's systematic. He completely isolates her, puts her through constant psychological and emotional torture, and strips her of every ounce of freedom. But his most powerful weapon, the one thing that keeps Grace from fighting back, is the threat that he will harm her sister, Millie.
And here's the twist that just makes your blood run cold. Jack's obsession? It was never really about Grace. She was just the key to get to what he really wanted. His true prize, his ultimate victim, is Millie. He has built a soundproofed room for her in the basement, a prison, and he's just counting down the days until she moves in. This is the secret that fuels Grace's absolute desperation.
So this naturally leads to the big question, why? What makes a person like Jack tick? Why is he such a monster? And the book actually gives us a really compelling explanation, one that's rooted in a classic psychological theory. So the novel hints at something called social learning theory, and the basic idea is pretty simple. We learn how to act not just from what we're taught, but by watching and copying the people around us. You know, monkey see, monkey do, especially when we're kids.
And this learning happens in a few clear steps. First, you have to pay attention to a behavior. Then you have to remember it, right? You retain that information. After that, you learn how to actually replicate it yourself. And finally, you need a motivation, a reason to go ahead and imitate that behavior.
So for Jack, who was his role model? His abusive father. As a little kid, he paid very close attention to his father's cruelty. He saw how his father used violence and control to get power. But it goes deeper than just imitation. That experience completely warped his entire view of the world. In his mind, control became love, fear became respect. Power wasn't just a tool to get something, it was the whole point. He is the direct result of the horror he grew up with.
Okay, so once Grace understands the full, horrifying picture of what Jack plans for Millie, something inside her just flips. She's no longer just a victim. She becomes a strategist. And she starts putting together this incredibly desperate, high-stakes plan to save both herself and her sister.
And her plan is so clever and so risky, she starts by studying Jack's habits, anticipating his every move like a predator. She figures out a way to pass a secret message to Millie, a huge risk. And this is the brilliant part. She starts putting these tiny drops of sedatives into his nightly drink, slowly building up his tolerance so he won't notice when she finally hits him with the full, powerful dose.
But the final showdown is just terrifying. Jack, in his complete and utter arrogance, just smiles and tells her he knew about her plan the whole time. He even switched the drug bottles. He thinks he's won. But in that moment, when she has absolutely nothing left to lose, Grace stops playing his psychological games and she fights back, physically. She strikes him down.
And this is the ultimate poetic justice. Grace drags Jack down to that very same room he built for Millie, and she locks him inside. And then she uses his own meticulous journals, his trophies of cruelty, as the perfect evidence to frame him and finally win her freedom. She literally turns his own weapons of control and obsession right back on him.
The ending really leaves you thinking, doesn't it? It leaves us with this complex moral question. I mean, Grace had to become a kind of monster herself, ruthless, calculating, to stop a worse one. It makes you wonder, what lines would you be willing to cross to save someone you love?
And that brings us all the way back to the beginning. Think about that perfect couple from the first dinner party. Now that you know the whole story, how has your perception of them changed? It's just a powerful reminder that you never, ever really know what's going on behind closed doors.
Every book opens a doorway to the world.